Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out 2-sentence horror. Story 1. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. He's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready because he knows leather gloves shrink when washed. Story 2. I have always taught my son to be hospitable. I cannot help but regret this as I watch him welcome the vampire into our house. Story 3. Whenever Dad disappeared another screaming begging child into the basement bunker, Grandma would craft one more grinning doll for my bedroom collection. After Grandma's passing, the creepy knife-wielding dolls caught my lecherous dad sneaking into my room and said to him, "Nana told us to keep you here until the zombie children come for you." Story 4. When our first child was born, my wife and I took every precaution to keep our son safe. I just wish I'd known about her thoughts of filicide sooner. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 5. DEC23. Yes, my sweet mommy's bun just needed double the time in the oven, I explained to my toddler. From the other room I watched with glee as she carefully put her premature baby brother in the hot oven, a wonderful relief flooding over me now that I would be rid of the little headache and with plausible deniability. Story 6. I always felt insects crawling under my skin but paid no notice to it. Recently, my colleagues started asking how did I manage to shift my scorpion tattoo from my neck to the back of my ear and if it hurt. It was weird considering I never had a tattoo. Story 7. A short while ago we received what seemed to be a directed cosmic ray from an empty part of space. Recently we cracked the code and translated it. Go dark, seem primitive, they are coming. Story 8. Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, cheered the children. Little did they know it was the frozen, decomposing cadaver of a dead dog. Story 9. Crying I clung to my 4-year-old knowing she would soon be taken from me. In my despair, I dropped the crumpled paternity results onto the floor. Story 10. I asked Chat when the world was going to end and it replied December 27, 2023. My face fell when I looked at the no internet sign on my computer. Story 11. I thought that working in such a high-end restaurant would bring only good in my life. I never could have imagined finding out why all the food tastes like pork. Story 12. Man, this fever has gotten my friends worried for my health. I still haven't told or shown them that I was bitten by a walker. Story 13. You've always had such a pretty smile, I say to my wife. I hope the scalpel I stole is sharp enough to make it mine, for I am not letting it go to waste on a soon-to-be corpse. Story 14. Your hair looks so pretty with blood in it. Those were the last words I heard from my 5-year-old after they pushed the ladder out from under me. Story 15. Dad, is that you? I pulled out as the customized ringtone he had for my mom rang around the glory hole. Story 16. They were few but fierce, wildly screaming as their blades sliced through us, but we prevailed. I could feel their power become my own with every swallow of flesh, and soon I joined my brothers in the dark, our screams and knives begging for more. Story 17. 3 weeks ago exactly my newborn daughter was pronounced stillborn. So why could I still hear her cries every night? Story 18. I was very proud of my adopted daughter when she scored way beyond her age of 5 for her IQ and EQ tests. And became even prouder of my darling girl when her bone density mass was more advanced than her friends. Story 19. I was so relieved when the pain finally passed and the worst case of constipation I've ever had was over. But when I heard a strange splashing sound in the bowl, I stood up just in time to see a flash of scales disappear down the pipe. Story 20. 15 years ago we found unidentified remains of a middle-aged man in the forest, and today we found a perfect DNA match. The name is Thomas, he's 2 days old and alive. Story 21. She shivered, feeling trapped in the cramped cellar by her kidnapper's chilling embrace. But as she whispered "I love you" with unsettling sincerity, she realized the one who stole her freedom was also the one who stole her heart. Story 22. Ugh, I hate lines. If I knew it would take this long, I'd have killed myself someplace else. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 23. The winter's first snow fell all over a peaceful town as children began to play. It was already yellow. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 24. As I was walking through the eerie eggplant farm, I noticed something strange. The eggplants were growing in unnatural shapes resembling twisted limbs and contorted faces, sending chills down my spine. It felt like the farm itself was alive, whispering secrets of darkness and despair. Story 25. People think when you're in a Groundhog's Day loop that there's no consequences. But then the loop ends, and you can't look at your wife and kids without thinking about all the horrible things you've done to them that they don't even know about. Story 26. I stepped off of the edge of the roof and began to fall. I thought this would help end the pain, but now things are even worse. Story 27. You've grown so distant from me, it's like you're hollow or something, I sobbed. Pulling me into his embrace deeper and deeper and deeper, even still he whispered, I am. Story 28. A attractive man took me home last night. Me and the other dudes in the cage are wondering when he'll be back. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 29. I've always been an animal person and went out of my way to nurse a sick baby back to health 3 weeks ago. I started throwing up water tonight and all I can think about is how my partner begged me to get that raccoon bite looked at. Story 30. She ran as fast as she could but didn't make it. I stood there knife in hand wondering how I was gonna get out of this. Story 31. I forced the electrical plug into the socket, fed up with all those horrid years of domestic servitude. My employer's other eyeball I'd already scraped out with a spoon. Story 32. I had the best sleep of my life. Until I woke up and realized I was buried alive. Story 33. I cast thee to hell, God said to us. I had no idea what my conjoined twin was doing while I was sleeping. Story 34. I've never forgiven Mother for trapping me inside of her belly when I was little. Let's see how you like it, I laughed as I finished my dinner. Story 35. When I was a teenager I offered the devil my first child for fame and fortune, all while chuckling to myself because I'm child-free. The day after our wedding night, I awoke to find my husband missing with a note in his place that read, "They do say that a married woman's first child is her husband." Story 36. Help, it hurts, please just let us in. I can't tell if it's trying to trick me or if it's just mocking me, but holding myself back from opening that door gets harder and harder every time. Story 37. I agreed to be a part of an experiment where I'd be traveling at the speed of light for 5 seconds and get paid about $1 million. Now I see why they paid so much. Story 38. I'll never forget when I woke up Christmas Eve to find my father dressed as Santa at the fireplace, presents in his hands and a smile on his face. The autopsy report said that when my dad fell down the chimney, his neck broke enough to lock in his grin but not enough to kill him right away. Story 39. The old man was just so excited for me to see his puppy I couldn't say no. After I crawled into his van, the other child told me there is no dog. Story 40. On my Amazon account my cursor hovered over cancel my subscription before clicking the pause button instead. The coffin in front of me was replaced by anesthetics for my induced coma of the next month. Story 41. Being a mortician is peaceful. Until you hear the sound of bare feet running behind you. Story 42. I awoke to an unknown note on my mirror saying look at me. Tearing it apart, I was chilled to the bone when I opened the bin to see hundreds of torn notes all reading similarly cryptic messages. Story 43. I curse you to always tell the truth, my mother screamed at me. You bitch, I replied back before watching her painfully twitch and twist, turning into a crying dog in mere seconds. Story 44. I love dressing up as Santa for the kids. I think it gives them comfort when I cut their ears into points. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. Story 45. After deep cleaning the entire house, it looked exactly the same. From the blood-dripped walls, to the clogged food compactors, as if the house was mocking my work. Story 46. As I made my third wish for my wife to live in the moment, she and the genie disappeared in a puff of darkness. As the genie granted my husband's wish, everything froze and the darkness came crashing in. Story 47. The doctor put the anesthesia mask on my face and my eyes closed slowly so he could do my heart surgery. Wait a minute, I don't feel sleepy, I feel. Story 48. DEC23, I'll have one double with extra pickles please. My face drained of color as the fry cook pulled me aside and whispered that we were out of pickles, well aware of what the abomination standing at the register would do if it didn't get its order. Story 49. As those hands gently covered my eyes, I instantly recognized his touch. Happy anniversary, my love, he softly whispered in my ear. It's been 13 years since he passed, and he has faithfully visited me every year. Story 50. My grandma made me chocolate chip cookies. They taste like grandpa. Story 51. After minutes of waiting, a verdict was made and the defendant was declared innocent. As the child sobbed over her mother's drowned corpse, the elders chided her and told her to be glad her mother wasn't a witch. Story 52. In the dead of night I was awoken by the sound of giggling children. With a groan, bleary-eyed and completely exhausted, I got out of bed to make sure my 4 under 6 weren't causing permanent damage to themselves or the house. Story 53. I'll admit I'm not the most attentive parent to my toddler. But since I've been playing tooth fairy to them, I'm pretty sure that a normal person only has 32 teeth to lose, and they've brought me nearly double that. Story 54. My best friend and I promised that if we were both single by the age of 37 we would just marry each other. Just 3 more years, I mumble to myself as I stare at her most recent suitor. His untimely disappearance will certainly strengthen her and my relationship. Story 55. He held onto his father's hand as the explosion went off, hoping to find his rest of the body later once the bombing stopped. Be the first to comment. Nobody's responded to this post yet. Add your thoughts and get the conversation going. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.